Greetings and salutations, listener. It is I, Eric J. Chucci, joined as always by my legal partner, the boy.
Hey.
Wait, not legal partner as in, fuck. Let's do that again. Greetings and salutations, listener. It is I, Eric J. Chucci, joined as always by my friend who is a lawyer also, the boy.
Hey.
This is the Two Nerds Podcast. If you are bad at reading title cards, we're talking about Daredevil. But, before we talk about Daredevil, hey, I don't know if you've heard about this Super Blizzard guy, but he makes games and he makes music. He did our theme song, Let's Get Hardcore. There's a link in the description. If you follow that link, you will go to a Bandcamp page. Bandcamp is a mystical land where you can buy music for cheap. You can buy his music for cheap. And that helps him out, which makes us look better in his eyes for giving us the music for free. Which he did, because he's nice. You can also go support his video game projects. He's got a million of them, but Joy Lance is the big one. And that, as they say in the funny books, is that. Enough said.
Not quite. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you can. Mostly like. That actually does help a lot.
Not anymore.
They changed it?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why I didn't say it.
You gotta keep me up on this shit.
I'm sorry. I thought we've talked about it.
No,
for those of you, well, you know what, listener? I will say this once, because I'm not going to bug you with it. If you want to like our videos, like our videos. If you want to subscribe to the channel, that'd be awesome. YouTube actually promotes based on minutes watched now. So, I guess, just let our videos play. Throw on a playlist if you're not doing anything that requires bandwidth, and just let them go. That'll help us out.
I did not know they had changed it.
Yeah, I mean, it still helps. So, if you want to like the video, if you want to subscribe, you want to comment, that's all good. But, doesn't help as much now.
Neat.
Whatever. We march on with time and space.
We don't have any other choice. We can't actually stop either of those things.
No, not yet.
Don't tell them.
So Daredevil. The Netflix series. Wow, wouldn't it be just a fucking switch if we were like, we're reviewing the Ben Affleck movie?
I know it's not timely at all, or it's even kind of a douche move considering it's an obvious bait and switch for what you're expecting, but that's our new job here at BuzzFeed.
Someone else is going to be doing that, and we just called them douches.
No, see, it would be douches if we did it, because it wouldn't be as funny.
No, I'm happy about us calling them douches. Up top.
I did not high-five.
No, we don't touch, but you can't hear a fist pound. Watch. What? No, it's Spike! Do it again! Yeah! So, listener, in case you can't tell, we really like this show. We are 6 episodes in. There are 13 episodes in total. That's close enough to halfway for my liking. In the next episode, I think it's called Stick.
It's called Stick.
So
Stick will show up.
Gosh, I hope so. He appears to be in the little icon and everything.
No. It's just a huge Ben Affleck-like bait and switch. It's just an episode about some guy getting hit with a stick.
So this series is so fresh that I think it's fair if we do a very quick spoiler-free.
Yeah, definitely a fair thing to do a spoiler-free. There's some spoilers we can't not do because
Daredevil's blind.
Yeah, Daredevil's blind. He has enhanced senses with which to overcome his blindness and help him fight.
And then some.
and help him fight crime. And he is a lawyer. Those are all pretty much in the... they're guaranteed to be in a Daredevil adaptation, unless that Daredevil adaptation is actively trying to piss people off.
Yeah, but I don't even know how much we're going to talk about spoilers, but
all right.
I'd rather play it safe.
Once we get past the spoiler warning section, I'm not going to curtail what I talk about.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just don't know what we're going to say. But I digress. What are your thoughts on the first 6 episodes of Daredevil?
I really like them. All right. This is something I know we joked about talking about the Ben Affleck Daredevil. I probably am going to mention it a couple times in this podcast because I, unlike apparently all the rest of humans, I actually really like that movie. I think Ben Affleck did a really good job. I liked it. It was fun. I liked Colin Farrell as Bullseye. I even liked Kevin Smith's cameo. And Guido the Killer Pimp was amazing in it. But, and that's not a joke, I can never remember his name. This adaptation of Daredevil is a lot better. than that adaptation of Daredevil. I still like that movie, but as an adaptation of the Daredevil comics, this is much better. If you are into Daredevil comics, watch this. If you are not into Daredevil comics, but you're into Marvel movies and their feel, and Marvel shows and their feel, watch this.
Yeah, it's like a noir version of a Marvel show.
Yeah. If you are...
Or a really long Marvel movie, because it feels like a movie.
It's very...
It's got movie pacing.
It's really... You know what? No, this is going to be... I just want to do a quick thing.
Yeah,
I'll get into the details later.
I really like it too. I mean, it's not the best thing ever, but it is really good. And, I mean, I'm not a snob, so I'm not saying this is a snob. I don't watch a lot of TV. By which I mean I don't watch a lot of sequential shows on purpose.
Yeah,
same. I shotgun YouTube like it was sweet, sweet lifeblood.
And I binge watch on Netflix, and look, it's not that either of us are too good for TV. It's that we don't watch it the way other people do a lot.
Well, right, but
that's
even
just different.
Even's me. I don't binge watch Netflix usually. There's big exceptions, and this is one of them. Is basically the point I was getting at. Usually, I'm into like little 15-minute bites or YouTubers and reviews and stuff. I don't watch series typically. It's hard for me to find one that I'm really into. This is the exception. This is one of the exceptions, and I am just guzzling it down. The last series I got into really hard was Longmire. May it rest in peace. I still haven't seen the last season of it, but I paced it out. This, I don't want to. Next time I am in the mood to watch TV, which is either going to be later tonight or tomorrow, we're going to probably watch as much of it as possible.
Because it might be a long wait before season 2, but I want to watch season 1.
Yeah, I want to absorb it. And, let's go ahead and give the 5-second warning.
We'll do the traditional Two Nerds 5-second warning. Beyond this point, here there be spoilers.
Yar.
Mate.
So scramble for that off button, that mute button. Alt-tab out of your League of Legends game when you die here in just a second, and turn us off if you don't want any spoilers for Daredevil. Alright, I think that went on a little longer than 5 seconds, but as usual we gave you extra time too. So
the traditional Two Nerds 5 seconds is actually about 7 to 8 seconds long. Okay.
For the benefit of those with flash photography.
So, this won't be like, I'm not going to immediately go and jump right into spoilers, but at this point, we're just going to stop curtailing what we say at all. The first thing I want to get out there is that I purposefully went into this show completely blind. Aside from what I had seen...
No, like Daredevil, he does not see.
Stop. Aside from what I had seen of the main Daredevil's face under the mask, like the bottom half of his face, I knew nothing about the actor. I didn't look anything up. I knew nothing about anyone who was in the series. I specifically didn't look up what the Kingpin looks like. I didn't know anything about this show going in, because I did not want to be spoiled for any tiny piece of it. I wanted to make no previous judgments. I wanted to take the show as it gave me the show. And I must say I have been pleasantly surprised so many times.
In a bit of a role reversal, I had a bit more information going in. I knew some of the principal actors that were in it, and I think I saw the Kingpin, but then again, maybe not. But it was just like a screenshot. I don't watch trailers, we've mentioned this before, unless I'm at the movie theater or I happen to catch one on YouTube, like, as an ad. I just, like, these days there are too many trailers that spoil the whole fucking thing. So it's not worth my time to watch them if I'm already hyped for a movie. I wanted to watch this series. I was curious to see what happened. I like Daredevil in theory. I don't want to say that I was ever a big Daredevil fan.
I like Daredevil in theory. I like what I've seen from Daredevil. I've not seen a lot. It's not like a lot of other Marvel properties where I've made efforts to go and learn some stuff. I know some stuff about Daredevil, but it's not anything comprehensive.
I mean, I know the basics about Daredevil. I know more about Daredevil than I did about... No, I know about as much about Daredevil as I did the rest of the Avengers going into...
The Avengers?
Yeah, going into the individual movies and then the Avengers. I mean, it's not Spider-Man levels of, oh, I know this motherfucker. But I knew their principal rogues, and I knew their origin story.
Yeah.
And, their special abilities. About as much as I know for any Marvel character. My DC knowledge is not as good. Like,
we've learned.
I've been, for various reasons that I may or may not go into later, probably not. I've been considering watching Arrow. I know his real name, and that he uses a bow and arrow.
I know much and more about Oliver Queen, and I actually kind of heavily dislike the guy. So I will also watch Arrow because I hear that the Oliver Queen on the show is very different.
Well, and I've heard the villain of season 2 might pique your interest.
Ooh.
But I digress. So I knew about a regular amount of stuff on Daredevil, as much as I did Captain America or Tony Stark or whatever. And they changed a few things in this.
A little.
And I think it might rub some people the wrong way, but I thought it was...
You're right. It's gonna rub some absolute purists the wrong way.
Well, absolute purists and some very specific cases of individuals who found that a point of that was one of the things that made me like the character.
I know what you're talking
about.
Yeah. It's just for me. I think the stuff they changed is also a good story and doesn't detract from the character at all.
And I would agree there as well. But, I'm sorry, I lost my point in moving forward. When I was younger, I didn't read a lot of the more serious comics because I liked cartoons. Batman was about as serious as I got, and there was a lot of seriousness in Batman, but it was also kind of... What's the word I'm looking for?
Not lighthearted, just not grim.
Yeah, it was like, okay, the Joker is wacky and everything, but he's totally murdering nuns right now. Whereas Daredevil, at the time I would have been reading comics, was a lot of quote-unquote boring detective stuff. I don't actually think detective stuff is boring. See my novels, link in the description. They're available at purchase at Amazon.com and other fine booksellers. But what I do know about the character, and more importantly, what I am aware the character influenced, I am seeing so much of in this show that the movie never gave me.
Because this stuff is like a real heavy influence to early Daredevil.
Yeah.
And
well, not early, but like the gritty, dark, late 80s, early 90s Daredevil, the one that influenced the Ninja Turtles, that made them go, this is stupid and so grimdark, let's make it doofy.
And just as grimdark.
Yeah, ironically. And it's really good. I believe at some point earlier this week I described their portrayal of Matt Murdock as equal parts Batman and Atticus Finch.
And honestly, given how Daredevil acts in the comics, that's a good way to portray Daredevil.
Yeah, I mean...
Now, I do want to say this cast is amazing.
Oh, they're so
and
solid.
Was such a surprise for me. I had no idea anybody who, like I said, I had no idea who was in the show. So when Deborah Ann Wall shows up, who I love from True Blood, when Rosario Dawson showed up, I'm always happy to see Rosario Dawson. She's an amazing actress. I don't know fuck about the main character, about Charlie Cox. Looks like is the name of Matt Murdock. Dude, he's really good. He does his job well. I don't know from fuck about him, but
that name sounds familiar. I'm gonna look that up, but you keep talking.
You know, one of the best surprises I got was when fucking Foggy showed up. I love Foggy in this show.
Oh, he's great.
This is a great portrayal of that character, and he's so goddamn charming. But more so, I think I was like intrinsically made more fond of him by the fact that he's an actor I recognized from a movie that I like quite a bit, who I haven't seen in fucking anything since then. Especially because I like that character in that movie a lot. Eldon Henson was the fat kid from The Butterfly Effect, and I like that character a lot. He was the fat adult, actually. But
Yeah, the cast is really, really solid.
I haven't seen Vincent D'Onofrio in a lot. The Kingpin. I looked through his IMDb thing. I just haven't seen him in a lot. He's been in a lot. But I don't really watch Law and Order, and that's what he's been doing for a while now. He was in Full Metal Jacket, I think? I'm not sure. Hold on. I know I saw him in Men in Black, which is an odd thing to remember, but...
Charlie Cox was in Boardwalk Empire. I don't remember the character. It's been too long since I watched that show, but nothing else I really... Well, he was in Stardust, and you didn't see Stardust, but I did.
Yeah, he was...
You would have liked it.
He was Gomer Pyle. He was in Full Metal Jacket. I thought I recognized him from that, but I wasn't sure.
He's been in a bunch of shit, and we talked about it very briefly.
A bunch of shit, but I just I went through and there's not a lot of that have I actually seen.
I kind of feel like we're scrambling over points as we make them like a weird pile of corpses, but there's just so much to say, and it's hard to like pick a thread that isn't just, hey, watch the show where it explains all the good to you in order. I like how they don't explicitly tell you what his superpowers are.
They get fairly explicit with it around about episode 5. I think it's called World on Fire. When you get to that episode, that's when he sits down and does the exposition for Rosario Dawson's character about what exactly he can do, like what exactly is going on with him, and they cut just to a very brief view from his eyes, and you see what Daredevil sees. And that's the only time they do it. It lasts about 2 minutes, and from there they do all his powers. They illustrate them atmospherically.
Well, and even then when he's talking, it's a lot of metaphor, and he gets specific about a couple of things, but it's not like, I am Daredevil, here are my powers, this will allow me to do this, this, that, and this, you know.
Well, I mean, he does too, like, he says, enhance this, this, this. He talks about what he can see, how he can detect, like, changes in temperature. It gets fairly specific, but not point by point.
Not super weaving specific.
Yeah. It's just, and I love the way they portray the powers outside of that scene also. It's always very atmospheric. If they want to get across that how Daredevil is seeing this guy is coming at him with a knife, is that he can hear something about the way the knife is cutting the air, they will turn that sound up. They won't really film it any differently. They might focus in on the knife, but they will turn the sound up, and they will adjust the sound mix so that you can hear like a slight ring.
Yeah.
They try and bring it in so that it feels very, very organic, how Matt sees things.
I also fucking love the fight scenes in this show.
Yeah, they're really good. And I'm not sure why you bagged on this, because you love it too. The Zack Snyder style fight scene where when shit gets really cool, it slows down so you can see all the action.
Well, they did that a couple of times, but no, that's not what I was bagging on. I mean, I like that just fine artistically. What I don't like is the shaky cam everywhere. And I don't mean even the ridiculous shaky cam. I mean that kind of shaky cam where they're, I don't know, trying to portray as though you are in the fight.
It feels very dynamic. I understand why people do it. They decide not to in this show, and I think the fight scenes are better for it. I also like the fight scenes. They vary in style, actually. There's a couple different styles they've used so far. All my favorite fight scenes have been like either complete oneers or very few cuts.
These fight scenes remind me of Ong Bak.
Yeah, they do.
Like, filmographically.
They remind me a little of...
cinematographically.
Yeah, I know, filmographically, we're keeping it. They remind me a little of what I've seen, because I haven't actually seen the entire movie of Oldboy. It's just these long, tracking, multiple person fights.
They're very Asian martial arts film, and I appreciate that, because it lets you see all of the different martial arts that are blended to make Daredevil's style, do their thing. I mean, he does little pro wrestling stuff, he's done capoeira stuff, he's done a little tiny bit of judo, lots of kung fu. I mean, he's just got all these little styles that he mixes in.
I do have some actual critiques about the fighting scenes. Some of them are a little dark. I mean, some of them, they are shot very well with a nice steady camera, mid-distance. You can see the entire fight and what's going on. They're shot very realistically. If Daredevil is on the ground having a stupid kicky fight with some guy, it looks dumb and stupid because that's what those look like. And I like that, actually. What I don't like is that the scenes, because Daredevil's, business takes place at night, they're shot sometimes very much in the dark, because what the fuck does Daredevil need lights to see by? And that's, very cool stylistically, but some of those fight scenes are just kind of hard to see.
That didn't bother me.
It did me.
That's fair. I was just weighing in on it. You might not be bothered by it depending on your predilections and or eyesight. Well, because one of us wears glasses and the other doesn't, so...
Clearly it's his super eyes. It's just my shitty eyes' fault. That's what he's trying to get across.
Well, I'm sure it plays a part. I don't mean to... I'm not trying to bag on your fucking eyesight. Look, we watched Daredevil and he's blind too. It's okay.
I would weigh in that it's not my eyes' problem. Those fight scenes are dark.
Well, it's not like that time we went to the drive-in and watched Halloween 2.
No, it's not like that.
Let me put it that way. I respect...
Where, near as I can tell, that was an art film about the use of shadow.
Let's just make it black. Make everything black. Just fuck it. It's black.
A couple sparks of light, like a guy trying to light a lighter in a dark room, and that's it. That's all you see. And then at the end, there's a lady on a white horse. I know very little about Halloween 2 because I saw very little about Halloween 2.
Yeah, I kind of want to watch it again, but I also kind of don't. I don't know.
But this show is shot incredibly well.
Yeah.
It's well acted. It's well produced, even.
The writing's okay.
The writing's okay.
It's comic book writing without being too heavy-handed. A couple of scenes get a little not anvil-y. Well, okay, let me just drop some lines on you, because we're in spoiler territory. We're not so different, you and I.
Oh my god,
you and I are nothing alike.
I love that scene. And I loved it so much because it was as if they knew what they were doing and decided to, it was, we're not so different, you and I. You and I are nothing alike. That's what you'll tell yourself. That is... if I fucking had a handbook that said villain hero dialogue 101, that would be the first fucking page, okay?
But what I love is it's not just thrown in there. It is the stereotypical phrase, but that's how you use it. Because in the continuity of this and many other works, Kingpin is trying to save the city by killing all the shit.
At least that's what he tells people.
At least that's what he tells people. So, him saying that to Daredevil, who he sees as similar, but operating on a teeny baby scale, is not...
teeny baby weapons.
Yeah, it's not, it's not out of the box. It seems like a thing he would say. And Daredevil responding the way he did.
Yeah, it wasn't unbelievable, but I feel like they fully went to the cliche.
Oh yeah, they knew what they were doing.
They knew that there was no way that cliche wasn't gonna get called if they used it at all. So they just went whole hog and hung a lampshade on that shit because they knew what they were doing. And I like the inherent cojones there.
Yeah.
I love that the Kingpin, that speech he gave, was essentially the very fancy Kingpin way of, come on, Scrub Lord, get on my level.
Yeah. Do you even lift? Do you lift? I lift.
So much. I love the portrayal of the Kingpin by Vincent D'Onofrio. I love it because it's different than you usually see. Usually the Kingpin is very self-assured. He's very suave and calm and I would say even a little cocky.
He's usually portrayed as a little flawless.
Yeah, he's just always in control, very calm, very almost and pretty smug about what's going on. Even the Daredevil, the Ben Affleck movie did this. Ving Rhames. No, not Ving Rhames. Michael Clark Duncan. I switched their names around. Michael Clark Duncan did the same thing. He was always smiling and grinning, and he was perfectly in control until he wasn't. And that's a good thing for the Kingpin to be because it allows Daredevil to bring him down. But I like this portrayal because it's different. But it's not different in a bad way. This Kingpin seems like a barely controlled, raging psychopath.
But he has his control, and the way he asserts his control makes him seem like that gentle giant. Which reminds me a lot of the older cartoon portrayals, like you'd see him in Spider-Man, where he's kind of, he's not that fat, like, I will do the thing, but more that, hello, Spider-Man, welcome to this place where I am at. I do not remember much about the Spider-Man cartoon, so I have no specifics.
I mean, he was kind of the smug guy, though.
He was, and even in this, he is a bit, his self-confidence is coming from a place where he never feels as though he's going to fail when it has to do with his plans. So the character takes on situations outside of his business that he's uncomfortable in. That's how he gets his rocks off. Because he's doing things that challenge him.
Because specifically what we're talking about is almost all his scenes up to this point have been him courting, like very fucking old world style courting, this art dealer lady. And he's visibly uncomfortable, he's awkward, and I don't mean cutesy 2010s Zooey Deschanel awkward, I mean like really actually kind of hard to watch awkward. And he's lost, he doesn't seem to understand what to do here. I love that portrayal, because it contrasts so well, and it fits in so well with his just barely constrained violence. It reminds me a lot of the more intense parts of Mark Ruffalo's portrayal of the Hulk. This is a person who is actively choosing not to hurt a fly until he chooses otherwise.
Yeah. I like it a lot. And I think he looks good. As you and I both said, he could stand to be a little wider, a little taller. But
that's comic book nerd nitpickiness.
Sure. But you know what? I didn't disbelieve his strength when he flipped out and fucked up that Russian guy.
Yeah,
that seemed legit.
Yeah, he cut off a dude's head with a car door, and I was like, that's believable. I can see him doing that.
It was just so good. And
I mean, it did take him like 50 or 60 tries. It was an intense scene.
Well, I also kind of appreciate that they're going, what's the word I'm looking for? Low magic, if you will.
They're going very street level. That's the term that superheroes
level.
Use a lot for this. Because Daredevil's a very street level hero, even more so than Spider-Man. Spider-Man uses a lot of high science villains.
Well, I mean, Daredevil had Stiltman.
Daredevil had Stiltman, but that's not usual for him.
Sure, a lot of the classic stories were more street level.
Daredevil is probably him and Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and Iron Fist is even a little bit more wacky and out there. Daredevil and Luke Cage are probably some of those street level Marvel superheroes you're going to get. Which
I really like, because in such a contrast to the Avengers and their individual movies, we're getting, okay, this is what the other superheroes are doing, this is what they're taking care of. People always ask the questions, not so much in DC, but in Marvel movies, why the fuck? Well, I suppose in DC too. If you have Superman, why do you have this guy and that guy? Why is Batman part of the Justice League? What purpose is there Aquaman? Because crime happens in these little tiny places too, fucker. Somebody's got to take care of it. And maybe they can't stop gods, but they could stop men who think they're gods.
There is a tool for every job.
Yeah.
And for the Kingpin, there is Daredevil. For a Chitauri invasion, there's Thor and Iron Man.
Right.
Thor is a bit heavy hammer to bring in for the Kingpin. You're essentially just a jumped up mob boss. I'm going to send the God of Thunder after you. That seems a bit, like a waste of the God of Thunder's time.
Well, it's not like this is really a delegation of responsibility. I mean, this guy is in Daredevil's turf,
He's in Daredevil's turf. He's not known. And Daredevil's not a part of the superhero club. So
although they do make reference to it, I appreciate it.
I love that. I love that they keep making reference to it. They keep talking. The entire premise of the show is built around the aftermath of the Chitauri invasion of New York.
Oh my god, also, I am so happy that Ben Urich is a character.
Yeah, that's neat, right?
He's like a really important character too, and the acting on him is fucking fabulous. I love his story. I love what a good reporter he is. I love his interactions with Deborah Ann Woll. I mean, like, that whole...
I mean, he doesn't work at the Bugle because he can't, because the Bugle's a Spider-Man thing, and Spider-Man didn't get filtered into the MCU until after they were done making season 1 of Daredevil. So he works at, like, unnamed paper. I think it's like the Daily Report or something.
Something like that. But whatever. I love how they're using him. I was a little afraid. I was like, reporter character. Oh no, I know this guy. And then he was awesome. And I was like, oh wow, this is actually really good. I was afraid this was going to be the slow part.
Like, I love that they take time for every character. Aside from Foggy, I guess. But like, Ben...
Foggy got some development.
Ben has, like, background. You spend like 20 minutes with him all told, learning his situation, learning that the paper's struggling because it's 2015, of course it is. Learning that his wife is some kind of ill, and
I think she might have some kind of Alzheimer's.
They're very vague about it. His wife is some kind of ill, and he's running out of time with his insurance, so he needs a good story. He needs something to make money with. They do a lot to set this character up, and that's, I mean, you don't need to do that. No one was asking for that. We love having it, and I love that you did it, but that's going above and beyond.
Yeah. I love that they're going above and beyond. Dude, I cared about Santino. I was like, oh, not poor Santino. Don't fuck him up, Russian guys. But, and the nice, what was she, Cuban lady?
I don't know.
She's Guadalajara. She's from Mexico. She was a Mexican lady that like, fucking Foggy.
There was, in the last, I think it was, I don't know if it was the last episode we watched, because they all blend together.
The last 2 episodes.
Yeah, we binge watched them, like, right in a row. They did that, they've gone and made sure they show the lawyer half of Daredevil's work. And now, granted, it's usually more Foggy's side of the episode, which is fine. That makes sense. But they show that Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson are good people. They're trying to help people. Like, they go out of their way to help some... Foggy goes out of his way, Foggy and Karen Page go out of their way to help these people who've been abused by this slump lord. And it's such a completely different... It's a different fucking show that's playing while you're watching Daredevil.
But it doesn't feel like...
It fits so well.
Yeah, it's all the same universe. I think that's another thing that you could really talk about that the show's creators have done well, is that everything sort of has a certain theming to it, a certain feel. And even the lighter moments and the darker moments and the superhero moments and the, human moments feel very interconnected. Nothing feels out of place. There's never a point other than the super lampshady, anvilicious, we're nothing like bit.
That was the only thing that drew me out.
In 6 episodes, 6-hour-long episodes, that's the only thing where you're like, lol, but then you get right back into it.
I was whipping out my bingo card.
And I love that they don't make things easy for Matt, but they also don't make it...
They don't make it unnecessarily difficult.
Yeah.
They don't do a trope which, as I have aged, I have gone to understand that I have less and less time for. I actually am not a fan of TV trope. You can look it up. Diabolus Ex Machina. It's the other side of a Deus Ex Machina. It's when something bad happens for no fucking reason, just to make the main character's life harder. Or just to make the story more... Or just to make the thing more difficult to do. It's when,
It's an injection of unnecessary drama at the worst possible time.
For no other reason than adding more drama. That has begun to be a kind of big pet peeve of mine in stories. If you cannot create the drama organically from your story, you have done a bad job.
Yeah, then you need to go back and you need to plant your seeds so that you can make that flower bloom. That hideous, horrible flower.
Plant your seeds and we don't have a problem.
But even the character moments, like with Vladimir, the last episode.
The last episode is...
that we watched, the 6th episode.
Yeah, the 6th episode is the very end of it, and then that whole episode. I was trying to do the timeline in my head. Is just like it's a very big, expansive episode that covers a lot of stuff, and there's a bunch of drama with a bunch of cops. But the core of the episode is two guys in a room. It's Matt Murdock, and I don't remember his last name, Vladimir, one of the Russian brothers, the remaining one. And they're back and forth with a quick interlude from the Kingpin.
But I liked it because, okay, obviously from a storyteller's perspective, you know that Vladimir's gonna, be like, okay, you are a good guy. We will fight together. I was mistaken. You know that's coming. Because, come on, we're all pretty genre savvy at this point. But the fact that they don't give it to you immediately, that they don't rush it, that Vladimir fights because he thinks he's right, and not in that stubborn kind of, that pig-headed man, he just doesn't understand. No,
they did that with a different character.
Yeah. He has no reason to believe, so he keeps fighting until he basically has it laid out for him and understands the situation. And they make it go on organically long. It seems realistic. He continues to fight when he has no reason to believe. He is given the reason in a realistic manner, in a non-ridiculous manner, I'll say. I mean, superheroes, But, and then he's a good guy. He has his redemption moment, and it's just played really well. I mean, that helps, the acting and everything, but it's also, it's all so good. I was so thrilled that, early in the season they started planting seeds for the big fucking crime war. Like, when they're just quietly showing you, by the way, the Chinese are totally here making, illegal drugs and stuff. The whole Chinese mafia. By the way, here's a Yakuza guy. Wonder who he has ties with. And then there's the Russians, and there's the Kingpin, and it's sitting there, and you're like, oh shit, it's about to go down.
Then and they have the Owl, which is, that's a cool Kingpin villain. Or that's a cool Daredevil villain. The white guy, the white, member of the crime multiracial family.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to get up his real name here because I always forget it, but he's Leland Owlsley. He's the Owl. He's pretty old in this series, to be honest.
Well, he didn't have to be that old in the older series.
Yep. But I'm very interested in what they end up doing with him.
Yeah, that's basically where we're headed next. That's the next plot, marker.
So, anyway.
I did notice that, yes, actually. You know what, listener, this is actually a pretty funny story.
No. That's the rest of the podcast.
No, I can make it brief. The boy really wishes he was a wizard. And not in a lame sense. I mean, like, if any of you had the ability to grant wizard powers...
Look, we can make a deal.
Don't give him wizard powers. Also, don't tell him that you have wizard powers, because...
We can make a deal. We can make a deal here, alright?
He will take over the world and you won't like it too much.
I would be a benevolent ruler is all I'm saying.
You wouldn't want to rule. You would want to play puppet master.
That's a kind of benevolent. I would take care
Look, even worse, he'd probably give me the reins, and you don't want that. But I digress. I made some stupid, made-up, farty-ass joke off the top of my head months ago that I had a special gland called a gunton. And that is what gave me my sorceress magic, of which I have none that one could prove. And a boy has been since threatening to murder me over my gunton.
And take it.
So that he could have the magic. I explained to him that's not how a gunton works. Don't Google gunton, I made it up.
Anyway, the guy who's playing Leland Owlsley is Bob Gunton, and I felt like he needed to
I noticed that while we were watching and had a bit of a chuckle about it myself. I like that we're seeing Daredevil in his salad days, and I like that they're not rushing to get that over with.
Yeah, I like that, like, second episode. I think it was the second episode, maybe the third. It was Rosario Dawson goes, "Your outfit sucks." And he's like, "Yeah, it's a work in progress." Which leaves me hoping that by the end of the season, we'll see an actual Daredevil costume. Because, story time, listener, I watched Smallville when it came out. And I watched the first 5 seasons as they aired.
I hate Smallville, so I'm not going to talk to you.
I was actually a big fan of that show. One of the things that made me fall out of favor with that show and made me kind of stop giving a shit about it is I found out that the rules, and these were literal rules, they had them on a board, like when you walked into the writer's room of the Smallville show, was no flights, no tights. At no point during the show was Clark going to fly, and at no point during the show was Clark going to dress as Superman. That pissed me off. You're making a show about Superman becoming Superman. Motherfucking end it with him being Superman. What the hell? I like that this show is not going to do that. He's not going to remain the man in the black mask forever. They are very clearly showing, with a couple lines here and there, and with the fact that, all right, I've noticed in some of the little icons for the show, he's in a Daredevil costume, that they will be moving to the actual costume soon, and that makes me happy.
I like how they haven't given him his name, but they haven't done it in a stupid way, like Man of Steel. Like, he doesn't have a name, but nobody's like, "Boy, I can't jump around buildings, sure as a Daredevil," and then everyone looks at him.
Look, alright, that was dumb in Man of Steel.
Well, no, it was, and I didn't mean to just, like, take a point to make fun of Man of Steel. The boy gave me a look as if to say, "What the fuck are you talking about?" But I like that they haven't given him a name, and it's not awkward, it's not like...
he's just the man in the black mask.
Yeah.
I guess that's what he is. He's a guy in a black mask.
But it doesn't sound weird, forced. It's not like, nobody says his name like, "the man in the black mask." You know, it's...
And nobody says black mask, and that's a different thing.
Yeah. You want to get sued.
Shh, boy.
Yeah, it's... I also like, and I did just say this, I like that they're showing us salad days, which is what I would have liked to see more of.
Small podcast sidebar. I know that phrase, and I know what it means. I have no fucking idea what its origins are. I've never looked it up. I've never thought to. What the fuck does salad days refer to?
Just let's get a dictionary definition. Why don't you look that up while I'm talking to you?
Yeah, you talk.
I have a lot of issues with the most recent trilogy of Batman movies. On the whole, I like them, but I have a lot of issues. The first one especially. I have precisely 2 issues with the last movie. One of them very minor, one of them prevalent. That being Deckard, Bane, and Robin. That was just unnecessary. But the first movie I have a lot of issues with. And one of the biggest parts, and something that ended up affecting the rest of the series, is I liked the idea that the Bat voice was...
Okay.
Let's educate us.
Yeah, alright. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you here.
No, it's fine.
It's a pun. Shakespeare did it. Like so many fucking things. This is a Shakespeare play that I actually haven't seen.
Fucking Billy Shakes.
Billy Shakes.
Always up to something.
So many fucking puns. But this is not a play of his I've seen or read, unlike some of the others. Antony and Cleopatra. It's Act 1. Cleopatra makes a speech about when she was young. She says, "My salad days, when I was green in judgment and cold in blood."
Yeah.
Green and cold, salad. Fucking douchebag. Billy Shakes, you're the douchiest douche.
Chalk up another point for Billy Shakes, winning the game. Billy Shakes! I wish we had graphics. I'd put one up, but whatever.
Dude, make them the little sideways
You
douchebag.
make one.
Make graphics, whatever. Do it.
You get me a Kevin, and I'll tell him to make graphics. Okay.
Do you like a little?
The things I do, the Filipino houseboy. Make him edit for me, obviously. What were you thinking? Jeez. And get him adorably drunk. People don't watch Game Grumps. People don't watch Game Grumps, so they're just like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Like, I wish I had a big red light that just says move it along that I could turn on sometimes.
This is when our podcasts are the most golden. When I'm edging toward absolute insanity. Batman Begins. I thought the Bat voice was Batman not being good at Batman yet. Batman overselling it. And I liked that as an idea. Batman is still green, so he's playing too hard. Because he's trying to be super intimidating. I love that as a concept. Seeing a superhero step into their own is, really cool. And sure, he basically started with the money to be a cool Batman. But for the persona to be the accurate, nightmarish Batman, that takes a little work. It takes a little practice. Sometimes you go up to a criminal and, put on your fucking Cookie Monster voice and they're like, excuse me?
What are you doing? Are you doing a bit?
But they never backed off of that. The Bat voice just stayed.
He
and I was
doubled down, triple harder. It actually got worse as the movies went on.
Oh, man.
So that's what that feels like. You're fucking alone, Bruce.
3 things I had wrong with that movie.
You're alone, Bruce.
You don't have to. God. Or you don't have to say it out. That was like a fucking Bruckheimer joke.
That was a Schumacher moment.
Yeah, Schumacher moment too, yeah. Anyway. Where the fuck am I? Batman, right. Speaking of Batman Begins. There's a scene, episode 3?
Yeah. Whatever episode was Rosario Dawson's character, so 2 or 3, I can't remember which one it is. There's a scene wherein the makers of Daredevil, the Netflix series, quietly walked out onto a stage, bowed to the audience, and said, "This is our official fuck you to the Batman Begins movie, to show that we are both more subtle and better. Thank you." And then they walk away.
Specifically what we're talking about here is, in Batman Begins, one of the most criticized moments of the use of the Bat voice is when Batman is yo-yoing that motherfucker off the top of a building and does the "Slammy!" and, in the rain and all that shit. And it was pretty Batman-y, but it was also pretty fucking narmy. Look that one up. NARM. Trope. TV. Tropes.com. Net. Org.
Move on. Move it along.
.gov. But Batman was interrogating a motherfucker and trying to get some answers. And threatening him with, "You gonna fall." Daredevil did the same fucking thing. And he was a hard man about it, but he wasn't like a screaming psychopath about it. They managed to put in pathos for the character, they managed to contrast him and made him look human putting on a mask, while still showing that his techniques were effective, that he was getting what he wanted without turning into the boogeyman.
And then, at the end, he tosses that motherfucker off the roof.
Rosario Dawson's all like, "Is he alive?" And Daredevil pauses and goes, Yeah, he's fine.
He wasn't entirely sure he was going.
He had a check. Oh, yep, he's good. But they did it so well. It was so much more subtle. It reminded me a lot of the interrogation scene in that one Punisher movie where he stabs the guy with a popsicle.
And then, turns on a blowtorch, stabs him with a popsicle.
Yeah. Not as playful. Obviously, Punisher's having some fun with it there, but I liked it. God, what else about Daredevil has been fucking amazing?
Lots of stuff.
Oh, man.
I love... this is kind of a spoiler. There's a part, like I mentioned, the Kingpin wooing this art dealer lady. I like that the art dealer lady is smart enough to know who the fucking, without knowing who the Kingpin is, because one of the big things of the show is you don't say Wilson Fisk's name. They haven't used the word Kingpin once, and you don't say Wilson Fisk. You never do. Bad shit will happen to you. He'll kill you, he'll kill your friends, he'll kill your family, he'll kill everyone your family ever cared about, and he'll do it in horrible ways. Do not say his name. So she couldn't possibly know who he is. But just from the way he acts and comports himself and some minor things that happen, minor disturbances, she knows he's a bad man. He's a bad, dangerous man. So she comes to one of their dates with a gun. I love it because it plays both characters very well. It shows her as smart and capable and not a retard. Because he's obviously a dangerous man. And it shows him as a very competent criminal because he looked at her leather rigid purse and said, "What kind of gun do you have in there?" Like he used his criminal senses to detect the gun.
We're not so different, you and I, Daredevil. I am also blind. And I also have super senses. I can see you right now.
But I very much enjoy it. And I also very much enjoy that the art dealer lady is not a storyline of him fooling her. He's been, after a fashion, very honest with her, and she is willing to take Wilson Fisk on his own terms. That's an interesting wrinkle. I'm interested to see where that goes.
I figured she was going to be a one-off character that they took the fuck out of just to establish
that Wilson Fisk is a monster?
Yeah, but no. They did that slightly differently, and she's like a thing, and I like that.
I like where this is going.
Yeah. What I wanted to say that you reminded me of, also, one of the other points I wanted to hit, is that many of the villains in this show are gray. They're not black and white. And Daredevil does a whole big speech about this, about things being blurry or sharp or whatever. But even like evil motherfuckers, when pushed, will be like, I have a wife and kids and a family, and I have given you too much information, and now Wilson Fisk is going to fuck him, so thanks for that.
Yes, oh my god, there was a great line. And I enjoy heroes in my superhero comics. I like anti-heroes too, don't get me wrong. But I like heroism in my superhero comics a lot.
Well, the anti-hero is the contrast.
Yeah, and there's no contrast.
If there's no hero.
It's just a field of gray. So, there's a scene in one of the episodes where Daredevil has essentially, tortured a dude to get information out of him after beating him up in a fight. It was a cool fight scene. Then he got the information he wanted. He got that guy to say the name Wilson Fisk. And then that guy is like, Daredevil tries to do his speech of, alright, get out of my city and I'll never see you again. And the dude's like, no, I'm not gonna leave. Daredevil tries to, push him, maintain him more. He goes, no, you don't get it. I'm dead already. I was dead the second I said that name. He's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill everyone I've ever cared about. You should have just killed me. And then he calls him a coward and kills himself. And that is an amazing scene. Yeah,
because Daredevil's even and the motherfucker acting with half a face, first of all. If I haven't mentioned that, I don't think I have. Kudos to you, good sir.
Yeah, you get across emotions with the jawline.
He's just so stunned, and he's like, oh man, now I feel really fucking bad.
I don't know what to do with this information.
He's right, but wish he hadn't killed himself. I could have figured out some way to protect him. I'm pretty sure of my hero capabilities.
And then, they revisit that point later. When Vladimir is talking to him, it's like, so you won't kill me, but you'll stand there and watch me die. And Daredevil's like, well, not until I get the information I need out of you. And then at one point, Daredevil has to save his life.
Twice.
Yeah, twice. Literally restart his heart once. And then Vladimir goes, so no, you can't even sit there and watch me die. Essentially calling him a pussy over it. And it's an amazing character moment. Because everyone in this series who talks about, fighting Wilson Fisk, fighting the Kingpin with Daredevil, everyone essentially comes to the same point. If you want to do anything, the system's already broken. You can't put these guys on trial; they'll get away with it. He had the smarmy sidekick for the Kingpin showed Matt Murdock that he can get anyone off of murder whenever he damn well pleases. And so you can't put these guys in jail. they're going to get away with it. They'll get off. You can't take them to the cops. The cops are crooked too. You can't stop them legally. If you want to stop this, you have to end them. They're driving that point home. And I'm very interested to see that whether in this adaptation, Daredevil succumbs and takes the Kingpin down, finally, permanently, or whether he finds a way around it. Either way, I'm very interested to see what happens, and they're playing it exactly the right way to get me interested.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of a plot point they tried to push in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, but they just sort of half-assed it into there. I think it was the first one mostly, where Green Goblin was, being a shitlord. It was all like, no, you got to kill somebody. That's how it works. And then he died. But it wasn't Spider-Man's fault. They didn't handle it well. And here in Daredevil, they're handling it so fucking well.
Mm-hmm.
Which, it's a series and not, a single hour and a half.
They have so much more time to work. That's one of the reasons comic books are sequential and are series-based. They come out in week in small episodes because the kind of stories they tell work better in that format.
I appreciate this series. It's got me, I don't want to say excited necessarily, because I was already excited to a certain extent, but it's now got me hopeful for
Luke Cage,
Luke Cage and
Iron
Fist,
Fist,
and the eventual Defenders.
And just all that shit. I love this series already, because it's very well made, and because it's superhero stuff, and I inherently am fond of that. But
two things we talk about on this podcast is superheroes and wrestling. And Defender.
One of the bigger reasons I'm very fond of it already is because it's like a promise fulfilled. Marvel said, if you give us your trust, watch anything that we slap our stamp on, and it will be good. And to date, they haven't disappointed. This is their second foray into television, and it's very different than their other one, and they still haven't disappointed.
Well, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that's just because I don't like the characters. It's a fine show.
But Marvel has yet to disappoint me with their studios. And I'm so happy about that, because every time they don't disappoint me, I trust them a little bit more. I don't have any real parting thoughts about the series, because obviously we haven't finished the first season yet.
Sure. Maybe we'll do another podcast for the rest of it. Maybe not, but maybe.
It kind of depends on how much material there is
Sure.
that we haven't already covered. At the very least, when we finish it, expect us to mention it on some podcast, listener.
Or on social media. You can always find us. Our Twitter handles are in the description.
He tweets more than I do. But I don't have any parting thoughts right now, or anything. I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Sure,
I'm looking forward to Stick. I want to see how they play that.
Yeah, I saw a little clip in a trailer on YouTube, and I was watching something, and it looks like it's going to be good. But I will say something interesting, and I talked about this a little bit with you. I don't want to go on about it at length, but I'm not really excited for the next Avengers movie.
I am, but I'm worried about it. I think, to be honest with you, as much as you've heard me talk about how much I like the Avengers, listener, I think this movie might be a little too busy. I think there might be too many moving parts.
Well, that's not so much my concern. I don't know if I'm going to care.
I know I will, because Thor, Black Widow, Steve, and Tony are there. And the Hulk is there. Separately, I love Mark Ruffalo. But those guys I like those characters. I'm invested in those characters. I want to see what happens to them. I want to see their lives. I care just to see the next thing that they do.
With the exception of Black Widow, I agree with you. The last time they all came together, I was kind of like, eh.
Now, I will say this. One of the only images, I've seen a couple. They've been basically fucking unavoidable. One of the only images I've seen of Age of Ultron is Captain America's shield, broken in twain, presumably to represent, like, it's near like a dropped Mjolnir and a cracked Iron Man face mask. I get the imagery. If they actually do that in the fucking movie, I'm gonna be pretty pissed off. Ultron is not a hard enough ass to break that shield. Fucking Thanos barely is, okay? He needs the Infinity Gauntlet. Fuck you, if you do that, I'm gonna be pretty pissed. Not someone who's not worthy picking up Mjolnir pissed, but pretty pissed.
Well, it depends on how vibranium works in this continuity. This is, based more on the Ultimates line, and it's even still the Marvel movie universe, so...
Mjolnir and Captain America's shield are two items of comic book lore I'm very protective of.
Shut up. If we touched, I would put my finger on your lips right now. What if it does break? So they need to find some more vibranium to fix it.
And then they go to Wakanda!
Yeah! I just instantly fixed that entire plot point for the boy that we don't even know if it exists. I think that is the purest of example of, gosh, what could I possibly be alluding to?
Everything's better when nerds talk about it.
Hooah!
Fuck it, let's get hard!